In the previous video, I already talked about the welfare unit that comes from March's event. Now it is time to talk about the one who holds the event itself, March. Starting from her base stats, there are 3 important things that I needed to point out. 1. She has a high base HP, which is counterintuitive to her S3 that you will learn about later. 2. She has a high base defense that will help her survivability and her overall build. 3. She has a nice base attack that can be increased further with her UE. What makes March special would be the synchronicity of her S2 and S3. Let's start with her S2 first. After any unit's turn, her S2 will grant her a stackable attack percent and def percent boost with no stacks limit that resets after she attacks, so you don't want her to be too fast to stack her S2 passive. She already has a nice base defense and attack, and this passive helped her further. At plus 4 skill upgrades, you will start the battle with 2 stacks. Next, we move to her S3. In short, there are 2 conditions to fully benefit March's S3. Number 1, the extra damage can only be achieved if the portions of the enemy's current HP is higher than her own HP. One thing to note here is that the skill description didn't clearly explain whether it also takes her own current or her own max HP as the base for the comparison. But I believe it is the former. And this is the reason why March's high base HP is a bit counterintuitive to her S3, as she doesn't want to have high max HP. Take a look at this comparison. Number 2, for maximum damage output, only use her S3 if she has 6 stacks. This is so you can benefit from her inbuilt penetration and gain a penetration module after her S3 use. So unfortunately, there is no way for you to know how many stacks she has. And last part, the C damage buff that you get from using her S3 at 3 stacks will be activated before her S3 damage takes place. So it is a good thing. You only want to max upgrade her S2 and S3 for more stats boost and damage. Don't forget to also max her UE, cause most of the good stuff is coming from there. But where is March good at? March may not be as a tank killer as Kalmia or Evokuto in PvP, but she is just as good as them against enemies with high HP. So the flag exists. In PvE, if March's S3 extra damage can crit, then I can see how March can be a good boss killer there, especially with her max UE upgrades. I believe she can also be a decent DPS in raid too. About her build, in PvP, you don't want her to be too slow and you don't want her to be too fast either. Around 200 to 220 speed would do. We're going to use speed set as the main set here. If there is F Claris in the enemy's team, then you want to use an immunity set for the second piece. If there is no F Claris, then you can use penetration set. These are the substats, all made from purples except speed, and some of the stats can be increased further from the bonus stats that you get from her UE. Also, you just want one line of defense percent here to compensate for her low max HP, as her S2 passive already boosts her defense percent too. Anyways, for now the best cat orb to use for her in PvP would be Lydia cat orb, since there's a chance that the enemy might hit and crit her first. This cat orb will help her mitigate the crit damage she takes as well as increasing her next damage. Hopefully she won't get one-shotted though. For PvE, basically about the same stats, but use either attack set or erosion set plus pen.